again. In 1993, Ogil introduced the SIRE program aiming to contribute to the improvement of safety management in tankers in terms of a marine industry that primarily preventing harm to people and the environment. As we see here, initially, the target was in facilities and equipment. We saw some decrease of the incidents, however, for sure, they were very high. Later on, the management systems also got into the target, and we had a little better improvement, but again, we were still far. So, incidents were still happening. Thus, a new approach was decided to be followed, and by using human factors as well, OCIMF built the SIRE 2.0, targeting to achieve the common industry's goal, which is nothing else than zero incidents. We have many new things in SIRE 2.0, and what's that? We have new questions, new approach to the inspection questionnaire. Although the questionnaires structure remain the same, we are talking for the same chapters and the same elements of the chapters, the questions are totally different. We have new technology because actually we are using a tablet in order to do the inspection. So we mean for a real-time inspection which is completely computerized. We have enhanced reports because each and every question must be answered, must have comments. So instead of having one report after a SIRE inspection which is about 20 pages or something under VIQ 7, now we have at least 60 to 65 pages under SIRE 2.0. Of course, oversight and behaviors of all participants we will discuss later on for this in detail. Declaration of any defects in advance, which was not required so far. And inspector is called to identify each observation's subject of concern and nature of concern. Therefore, he is not required only to write down the observation. He is requested to see why this observation was allowed to happen. New terms, as also Captain Nikolaos told, they are certificate repository that we are going well in advance the inspection and we upload some certificates that they are required. We have the photograph repository, which is a standardized procedure which we have to upload some photos of the vessel which is standardized by the OCIMF under specific guidelines that they have issued. And we have the inspection declaration. Inspection declaration more or less asks the operator to say that they are not liars, to sign that whatever they have uploaded is accurate and true. The HPPQ has been changed, has been enhanced, let's say, under the 6th version, which was released about 2 years ago. We have a very new stuff, which is the pre-inspection questionnaire. Based on this questionnaire, we are going to put inside all the ship-specific data, so a very ship-specific and custom-made questionnaire will be released in order the inspector to do the SIRE 2.0 inspection. This tailor-made questionnaire is called CVIQ, Compiled Vessel Inspection Questionnaire. All this information that we have uploaded, they are going to be mixed into our inspector's tablet, and the inspector will have the capability to have the questionnaire, the guidance for the questions that he is going to inspect during the inspection process, and of course after that this tablet is going to extract the inspections report. Under VIQ 7, all the questions more or less are of equal gravity. At least this is what we know. Some oil majors have their ranking, but this is another question and another discussion. So, all the questions have been risk assessed, and the highly risk assessed questions have been categorized as core. These core questions will be present at all inspections that we are going to carry out. The rotational 1 and rotational 2 will be, as it is said, rotational, so will be rotated every third or fourth inspection or every sixth inspection, etc. And we have the conditional inspection questions. Conditional questions are mostly related to what we have declared to a TMSA submission. If, for example, we say now at TMSA submission that every 1 year we conduct a real-time navigational audit by external agency, this question will appear into the CVIQ in order for the inspector to see and verify that indeed this is the case. The campaign questions are working similarly to the Paris MOU. If they find a trend at a period, they are going to make a rotational 1 or rotational 2 question upgrade actually to core for a limited period, 3 months or something like that. And this question is going to appear at every inspection that any ship is doing. The questions are part of categories, as we told before. They have 3 elements. The one element is the hardware element, which is purely to assess the condition of the equipment and structure. The second element is the procedural element, to assess if the procedures are accurate and are there. And the third is the human element. Now very clearly say that one of the 3 elements is also the human. So we can see that the human element is at the spotlight. Very clearly, very officially. This is also revealed by the SIRE program evolution. We see here that the human factor, if we see the VIQ 6, which is the previous version of the VIQ, the human factor is not so big, and VIQ 7 is bigger, and SIRE 2 is full. So we start from the be aware, and we are going to be able to demonstrate. We had been prepared before SIRE 2.0. Why? Because we see new publications, for example, ISCOT 6th edition in 2020 or MEG 4 in 2018, if I'm not mistaken, that they have inside start to introduce a human-centered approach, focusing on seafarers' soft skills in areas such as teamwork, communication, situational awareness, decision-making, and leadership. I put here also TMSA 3 because we know that the TMSA is still the same, but many discussions have been carried out for the TMSA's upgrade in order to introduce the human element as well, or by introducing a new chapter, the 14, or by introducing the human element at each element of the TMSA. And we have the SIRE 2.0 questionnaire, which is going to replace the VIQ 7. There are 2 different parts, as we can see. The first part is from the chapter 1 to chapter 7, which is about 700 and something pages. The second part is chapter 8 to 12, which is about 500 and something pages. So we are talking in total for about 1,300 pages of questions that everyone must be prepared for that. The most commonly used terms within the questionnaire, the questions and guidance, is very interesting to see that we have was familiar with the procedure 4, were the masters and officers familiar with, the accompanying officer, the accompanying rating, interviewing officer, interviewer rating. The terms aware and familiar are included in the questionnaire more than 1,300 times. Instead of having questions, responses, yes and no, as we have now in VIQ 7, there will be, as expected, which is the everybody's no yes, will be the not as expected, which will be the everybody's well-known no, and this is an observation, which is now a negative observation. The largely as expected, which is somewhere in the middle, not as expected, but not also as expected, so somewhere in the middle. However, it is not considered as a negative observation. And a very new thing, exceeds normal expectation, which is only for human. Practically means that the human element now is rewarded by a positive observation. If somebody exceeds the expectation, and we are talking, as we told, only for human, he's going to receive a positive observation. So far, of course, it is not something very extreme. Taking a sample of some inspections, we see that the 93% were negative observations and only 7% were positive. However, it is very interesting to see this one. The core questions percentage versus the human-related questions. We see that the chapter 3, which is crew management, 4 navigation, 8 cargo and ballast systems, mooring and machinery, the 100% of the core observations are human-related. And we have the certification and documentation 65 and the safety management 83%. Now, the inspector's approach to the human element. The human element is getting into the microscope, into the magnifying lens. So, the inspector, who is again human element, is going to evaluate the human element. How prepared we are for that? For sure, we cannot say. It's the very beginning. However, the inspectors have been given with some tools in order to make it more standardized approach, because since human factor is a complex subject, a practical guidance is provided to the inspector in a lot of different areas. Inspectors are asked to exercise a holistic approach, actually, but by not only assessing the competence of individual crew members, but also look for the conditions that make the task or to be hard or to be easy. And so the inspector is going to be given with the performance influencing factors, the well-known to us PIFs, which is actually, as the definition, I will read exactly the definition, a collective term for those factors known to influence or shape human performance. They can enhance and assist human performance, or they can degrade and obstruct it. And the human related PIFs, the performance influencing factors, have been categorized under this. And so the inspector is going to assess the human element, and he's going also to give an explanation if an observation is raised, even this is positive, even this is negative, by selecting one or more PIFs, which are actually the natures of concern, as it is said in SIRE 2, during the inspection. We are not going to read all of them. There are actually 9 which are straightforward, and the 10th one which is not identified, so somebody can put his own words there. The interesting thing here is that all the PIFs have been written in neutral way, so they can be used or under positive or under negative observation. The good thing, in order to relax a little bit our crew members and ourselves, is that no names or ranks will be mentioned to the SIRE 2.0 report. It will be the observed person, it will be the responsible officer, or they are going to be described as rank groupings. For example, senior deck officer, junior deck officer, rating, etc. It is very interesting now to see some statistics from some inspections that they have been carried out. These results are coming from a sample of 25 inspections. The source is the vetting committee of Intertanko. We have gathered some reports there and we extracted these statistics. This inspection resulted in 194 negative and 15 positive observations. As we see, we have an average of 7.76 negative observations and about 0.6 positive observations versus about 2.23 observations per inspection that we have now under VIQ 7. We see here that the majority of the observations have been raised in Chapter 5, which is the safety, and I would say that is normal because Chapter 5 has 82 questions. So it's a big chapter, and the likelihood to receive an observation in Chapter 5 is bigger. It should be noted that a lot of observations are raised on Chapter 2, and this is the reason because there is inaccuracy of the data that they have been uploaded in the pre-inspection questionnaire from the office. So this is very important for the operators to have in mind. And of course, we have some increased amount of observations in Chapter 3, which are related to missing assessors' qualifications in audit reports. In this chapter, I don't even remember that they are saying that the qualifications of the guy who is doing the navigational audit or the mooring order, whatever should be written there. Some companies have not introduced them into their forms, so this is the reason of the increased amount in Chapter 3. As we see here, the majority, the biggest amount of the observations is related to the process. It is 44%. But this is getting decreased because the companies adjusting their procedures accordingly. The 26 is the human, the 20 is the hardware, and the 10% is photo. The photo is another, let's say, peculiar thing because the photos that they are uploaded should be exactly as the guidance of the SIRE, and some photos also are missing, also some photos are inaccurate, and this is the reason that the inspectors are raising observations to the photos. Since we are talking for human, if we see here, we see that the human-related observations, the Chapter 5 again, which is the safety, is the champion. The Chapter 8, which has to do with the cargo, is also increased. Chapter 4, which has to do with the navigation, is also big enough. And Chapter 10, which has to do with the machinery spaces, is also increased. Everybody now is wondering when this new stuff will be rolled out. The OKIMF chose to do a readiness-based approach on that. So now we are in phase 3, and the phase 4, of course, is the implementation. As per latest news, it is said that the SIRE 2.0 will be officially implemented within Q3 of 2024. However, 2 months notice will be given. So, remaining to see. Now, some practical things from our experience and what, let's say, we could do in order to be better prepared. We have to familiarize our crew members with this new stuff. We still have time, even these 2 months, as operators, to make a gap analysis to our SMSs and to align it with the SIRE 2.0 requirements. We are not looking for simplification, forget the simplification of the SMSs. We can fix and make in our office some case studies and can give it to the crew for familiarization. We can also make on board, when we are on board, and prepare our crew to encourage the role play. Role play is the one to do the inspector and the other to do the second officer, or after the second officer to do the inspector and to inspect the chief officer. This will be nice, a very good training and exercise, and for sure will remove the fear factor, because the fear factor is very important to be removed from the crew members. Otherwise, we will fail during these interviews, as they say that the inspector will do to the crew members. Any voice recording that the tablet has the capability of voice recording, we have to ensure our crew members that the voice recordings are not included into the official inspection report. It is only some notes, let's say, for the inspectors. We need definitely the involvement of the senior officers during the whole process of the inspection, especially in the beginning, otherwise we are going to fail. And for the operators, carefully to complete the HVTQ, the pre-inspection questionnaire, and generally to be sure for the accuracy of the information and of the photos that we upload to the OKIF database in order to avoid any unnecessary negative observations. Thank you very much.